So let's dive into the today's session. So what we are going to discuss is about strategy development. Yeah, so it's in your plan, marketing plan for the year or maybe 3 years, right? So one important segment is strategy development. Yeah. So the first strategy that we are going to discuss is about portfolio strategy, right? This is an existing organization. So in an existing organization, there is a product or a service portfolio. You have to make decisions to your portfolio, or in other words, strategic business units, right? You have to make decisions. Certain companies, they do have only one, portfolio. Certain companies, they have many different portfolios, right? So company which will say like a startup, like so they are starting up things with maybe one product or one service or one strategic business unit. Later on they are adding, so based on their growth expectations, their vision, the mission, right? So they are adding new businesses, new products into their portfolio. So a portfolio is a combinations of product or a combinations of services or combinations of strategic business units for an organization. So it's a portfolio, right? So if you take a portfolio of an organization, for the organizations to grow, growth should come from the portfolio. Each and every element in the portfolio will not equally grow also. Depending on the trends, opportunities that we have identified during the situational analysis, right? There may be certain opportunities you have for certain products. There may be certain threats you have like for certain products. Or maybe certain products in your portfolio not giving you the returns or not giving you the expected result. You'll have to make decisions. In organizations, like there are product portfolios which are not performing at all. But for a long period of time, these companies keeping this portfolio or keeping these products in their portfolio due to some strategic reasons. So this is what we are going to explore. This is what we are going to identify. What are those strategic decisions? Why you are investing such a big amount of money or allocating a good portions of money to certain products, whilst you are not investing at all to certain products, whilst you are keeping certain products, even though they are not adding any value or profitability to your P&L. So this is what we are going to learn. So you need a thorough analysis to your portfolio before you are making any strategic decisions, right? For that, there are certain models which have been introduced, which have been used in for a long time by corporates, right? It's one model called BCG, right? It's Boston Consulting Group, right? They have introduced a matrix called BCG, right? BCG, product portfolio matrix, right? This will help you to, analyze your portfolio and make strategic decisions, right? This is what we are going to learn. Have you all heard about this model? Anyone? No? You are hearing this for the first time, I guess. Okay, so in this code, the matrix, there are two axes, right? Like in any, metrics, there are two axes, right? So the one is market growth, right? The other one is market share, right? Market growth and market share. Then you divide this into four quadrants, right? Based on market growth, whether it's high or low, market share, whether it's high or low. Okay. So in terms of market share here, they're talking about relative market share, meaning your share versus your next in line in the market, next player in the market, relative market share. So the market growth is like, not your growth, the market that you are in. For example, if you take toothpaste, you are a part of the market, but there are many players. If you put everyone together, what's the growth? Everyone together is the market, and then what is the market growth? Yeah. And the share is like, what percentage that you enjoy in that market. Since this is relative, you have to always compare yourself with the closest competitor, right? So we'll say you are Colgate in toothpaste market, and your closest competitor is Sensodyne. Okay, so you have a market share of 20%, and Sensodyne has a market share of 10%. So meaning like, you have a higher market share relative to your competitor Sensodyne. So that is how, you decide where you should, put your portfolio, right? In which quadrant you have to put your portfolio. So that's the first decision that you are making. Yeah. So for you to do this, you need data, right? Without data, you can't populate this matrix, right? You need data in terms of the market growth over a period of time, and you need some trends, some sort of, understanding about the market. Yeah. You should know who are the players in the market and what sort of contribution that each player has, and how they are, having and the sort of, share versus yourself, right? That information should be there, right? This information can be obtained through research. There are organizations in the world who are doing research, who are doing market research. Organizations like Nielsen is the well-known research organizations. So they are doing market share or retail measurement survey in many markets in the world, right? And giving us data about your share, about the market information, about competitor share, right? This is like, in FMCG industry. Similarly, like, if you take B2B also, there are companies who are, conducting this research, right? In certain, we'll say clothing industry, you will be able to generate, reports using EPOS data. Yeah. So there are third-party organizations, they do have certain mechanisms to obtain information from different clothing retailers, textiles, and they will, have a bit of, estimate to the total market, and will give us like, what is your market share in, for your brands in certain segments, right? So that is how it's happening. But for you to, perform this task, you need data. If you don't have data, it's going to be hypothetical, analysis that you are doing. That could also be done, but it's based on some intuitions, some sort of intuitions based on your experience only you can, do that. All right, okay. So let's, discuss about each of these, like, quadrant, what is there, how do you put, how do you slot your portfolio into each of these quadrant, and what strategic actions you are taking. Yeah, that's what we are going to discuss. Right. So if you take the market growth high or low, right? Meaning versus previous year, whether your market is having a higher growth. You have to take the comparative time periods or consistent time periods, whether your market is growing, versus the previous year, right? If you take the CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, for last 3 years, we'll say your compounded annual growth rate is 10%. The previous year, you have grown by 8%. So below your CAGR, then your market is having a low growth, right? If it is more than your CAGR, then you can assume saying you are having a higher growth. That's one way of looking at it. The second way is you would compare your growth versus the economy. If the economy is growing at 5%, you are growing 6, 7%, your growth is higher than the economy. If your growth is higher than the economy, means like you have more potentials to grow. Yeah, so that is why you have to consider what is high, what is low, based on your CAGR or your market CAGR, and also your growth versus the economic growth. Or you can also consider substitute industries, right? Your industry growth versus the substitute industry growth, again from data. If your industry is growing higher than the substitute industry, so you're having higher growth, lower growth. Yeah, that's the first determining point that you'll have, whether your market is growing high or low. Yeah. Okay. Can someone tell me, like, why you should know whether your market is growing high or low? Why you need to understand that? Shannon, last time we discussed, I think. Yeah, it's to estimate your growth potential. Or when you are making strategic decisions for your portfolio, what sort of opportunity you have in that particular market. You should be able to gauge it. You should be able to, like, get some sort of confidence by looking at the market growth. That's the main reason why you should know about the growth rates. We'll say, like, so if you are not growing in line with the economic growth, there's something wrong in your industry. One could be like, people are spending money on maybe substitute products. There could be like, some other new add-ons would have, come to households in terms of, like, probably an additional expenditure, right? Or maybe the industry that you are in is dying, declining, decaying. So like the industries that we discussed about, pen drives, CD drives, and, these reels, right? camera reels, right? So those are the industry like Novus decay. So it's better to know whether you are growing in line or above the market, above the competing industries, above your compounded annual growth rates. So that's the strategic importance that you should know why or at what rate your market is growing. Yeah. Then share. Market is growing high or low. Then do I have a higher share than the competition, immediate competition, or do I have a lower share than the immediate competition, right? So those are the two determining points that we'll have to analyze, assess based on the data available for you. Then you have, we'll say, 4 product items which you are going to, put to each of these quadrant, right? We'll say your market growth is high. You're growing higher than the economy. You're growing higher than the competing industry. And also, you are the leading player in that particular market. So imagine your growth is really high. Your market growth is really high, and you are the leading player. Yeah. So then, in that particular category, you are a star. So this is why they recommended you have to consider yourself as a star, because if you are a star, you have to perform high. If you are a star, then you have to invest behind yourself. Make sure that the position, star positions, you will have to. The star, imagine like so your market is growing, you are having a higher market share, then it's a strategically important product or the brand that you have in your portfolio. So you must make a decisions to invest more, right? So that is the strategic action. May require heavy investment to grow. See, what are the strategic actions you are going to take? You have to think about heavy investment. Yeah. You have to, keep up with the market growth. If you are not keeping up with the market growth, what will happen? So you are losing your market share. You are losing your position in the marketplace, right? So you as a star in that particular market, you have to drive that leadership, right? Drive the leadership and be on the front seat and drive the market. Yeah. So you are a star. So if you take any company, there are star products, star brands, right? So these are the brands that you will have to put here, not because they are generating profit, but you need to always think about whether they are in the right market, right? Whether they are in the right growth trajectory, right? Whether you are having a higher market share. Okay. So one strategic decision is, heavy, right? Investment. Again, so we'll say you are the market leader, right? You are the market leader and you have high market share, but the market is not growing. Market is declining or market is growing low or lesser rate than the economy, right? Continuously, the trajectory is downward trend. Just imagine a situation like that in your organizations. If any brand is continuously having a negative growth. Yeah. When you looked at data says the market is also coming down. But you are enjoying that giant share in that particular market. Are you going to divest the brand? No. Because you're still big in that market, having the higher market share, you are controlling the market. However, you should not invest that much because market is dying. In that case, what could happen? If the market is not growing, you can jolly well estimate that there will be less or no new entrants coming to the market. You can jolly well estimate that there will be less competition day by day because competitors are also not willing to invest in this market because the market is coming down. Yeah. In that case, you as a leader has to think strategically, reduce investment, try to milk, or it's we call cash cow. You have to milk, right? Get more milk, right? Cow is dying, you should get more milk, right? More milk or more cash, more profit into your organization's means like you will be financially strengthened. That will be a plus point for you in future for you to make any financial decisions or any growth decisions or any acquisitions or merger decisions like so you need some money to fuel your growth. Yeah, so that can be obtained by milking your cash cows. So that's the cash cows. Any questions, stars and cash cows up to now? This is a beautiful model which you can use in your organizations and also in your self also sometimes you can use this model for you to decide on certain investments, right? And there are certain products or the brands which are not giving you the desired share position, right? Versus your competition. It could be like, maybe you are the second in a player. There is a player behind you, the third player, who's coming very, very, very closer to you. That player is consistently increasing the market share, becoming a threat to you. Right? You are in a market which is growing exponentially, very high market growth. It's a question mark. Why am I not having a higher market share when the market is growing? Isn't it a question mark? Yes, it is a question mark for you. Right? High growth, low market share. So in that case, like you need a lot of money to gain that market leadership, gain a higher market share position, increase your market share. You should be able to grow higher than the market growth, right? These are the products that we have to look after for the future. Yeah, these are the products, these are the brands we'll have to look after. We'll have to care deeply for these brands or products, right? So those are called question marks. Then there are some other products and the brands which are having low relative share, continuously growing down, and also the market is decaying. Yeah. You can't, of course, milk because you are not the leader. Your share position is, coming down drastically. Market has no future at all. In that case, you have to make decisions whether you are going to sell this product or whether you will not invest a single penny on this. Right? And there is no future potential also for this. Right? Then, you can make decisions whether you are going to divest and this. Or sometimes you can still keep without investing. Some of the companies, as I earlier mentioned, they are keeping these products like, not adding value, not giving you profitability, but still, they are keeping in their portfolio. What could have been the reasons for them to, keep these kind of portfolio in their product portfolio? What could have been the reasons? Anyone, any idea? Like, so your market growth is also low, your share is relatively low or maybe poor share performance, but still, like, you are keeping that product portfolio with you. What could have been the reason for that? Yeah. So one, yes, of course, if you are keeping it, you have to, of course, maintain the market presence, right? So that's one of the reasons, right? But in terms of more strategic reasons, could be these kind of dogs, they are sharing your cost, overhead cost in particular, right? If you get rid of dogs, what will happen? The overhead cost would get added to stars or question marks or maybe cash cows. You understand? Like, in an organization, there is overhead, right? So we'll say all the human resources are coming under overhead. We have a finance guy here, right? So basically divide overhead cost among your portfolio, right? If there is no portfolio to, at least absorb a percentage from the overhead, that will get automatically added to the other portfolios, stars and question marks, right? All of a sudden, like, you will feel pressure. Your stars will definitely feel pressure, like, oh my goodness, I am not giving the adequate profitability. Yeah. So then you have to make a decision whether you are going to get rid of the portfolio or dogs, or you want to reduce your overhead cost by cutting down some of the employees, right? Cutting down certain, the perks that you are giving, right? Certain other cost factors you can, cut down. So there are strategic decisions linked to the decision that you are going to make on the dogs or even any other portfolio in any other quadrants, right? So these are connected, decisions you have to make. Yeah. So the main reason why you are keeping dog is because you have to maintain or you have to get the pressure is from stars and cash cows and the question marks. Yeah, that's the main reason. Okay. The objective is which questions marks can be turned to a star and which stars can be turned into cash flows and clear decisions about those, right? So once you have plotted your product portfolio into these quadrants, you are making strategic decisions, right? What are you going to do with stars? Like, how much you are going to invest. Yeah. And question marks, are you really, really going to turn question marks to stars? So it's a strategic decisions. Then, you get together, your finance department, your marketing department get together and you decide, okay, look here, Mr. Finance, right? So I have to invest heavily on question marks because if you invest heavily, we'll be able to acquire a lot of market share and we'll be a star, right? So therefore, I'm proposing this, right? My profitability will get impact in a short run. However, in the long run, since it's going to be a star and we are in the correct market growth would be high, we will be able to, in the long run, generate more profit. So those are the sort of, decisions. Cash cows, you would come and, tell your finance people, look here, I'm not going to invest that much. You can, generate more profit. I'm not going to touch the pricing also, right? No need to, reduce the prices, right? You can further increase the prices also to probably expedite, like, the milking process, right? You can make that decisions. That's all right. Yeah. Sometimes, like, you will have to make decisions on stars, invest heavily by diluting your profitability also, just to keep a big gap between you and your next competitor. You are targeting a giant market share in this. Or this market, stars, market that stars are in, like, is growing exponentially. There will be more threat coming from the competitors, maybe international brands, local brands, right? So they are also eyeing that particular market. So, Mr. Finance, like, we'll have to invest heavily to strategically maintain our market share positions, right? So these are the sort of, decisions you are making in this portfolio strategy. Okay, understood? Right. Any question? Right. So what are the possible problems that you are going to face when you are doing this analysis, right? There are possible outcomes, limitations of this analysis. These are the possible, limitations or problems. One is can be time consuming and costly, because you as an organization, for you to do this analysis, you need data. If you are not generating or gathering informations on a frequent basis, then it is an ad hoc activity that you will have to do. You have to commission a research, which will be costly, which will be time consuming. Yeah. And also, we'll say you commission a research today, if the result would come in another 2 weeks or 3 weeks, a month time, by the time that you will get the results, things have changed completely, because we are in a fast changing environment. Yeah. So these are the costly decisions you are going to make. Right? Difficult to define SBUs and measure market share and growth. Yes, it's easy said and done. However, when it comes to real implementations, gathering informations, getting accurate market share growth, getting accurate market growth, it's going to be a tough ask. If everything is connected, if we are in digital world, if everything is getting recorded, then it will be easy for us to get some information. But we still don't know, certain things are not getting recorded, right? There are some law preventing us accessing to certain set of data. So these challenges are there. So therefore, it's going to be very difficult task for us to assess the market share and also the growth rates of the market. Yeah. Okay, so this particular strategy focuses only on the current business, current portfolio. It doesn't say about the future. This strategy, like, so if you want to go, it doesn't talk about mergers. It doesn't talk about, like, adding new brands, brand extensions, getting into new categories, nothing like that. It's all about the existing product or service portfolio which you have, right? Can place too much emphasis on growth. Okay, so another limitation would be, like, placing too much emphasis on growth, right? Too much emphasis on growth is that, like, you really don't know whether the growth is high or low, right? Where do you draw the line? However, you have to emphasize more on the growth, right? Or you are not emphasizing on the other factors. Like I explained earlier, like, your cost factors, your profitability, right? It talks about mainly the top line, yeah, the growth only. Doesn't talk about like the competitive advantage that you have. Doesn't talk about like your strategic intent as an organization, right? So these are the limitations. Can lead to poorly planned diversifications, right? This could lead to a poorly planned You are, will say all your products are in one quadrants like door. That could happen, no? You are in the quadrant of door, meaning you are about to die, right? You are about to die. Okay. So then you probably make a decision. So I'm going to die. I will not have a future business. I have to diversify the business, right? Without looking at any other market trends, if you had taken a decision like that, it could lead to a sort of wrong assumption based decision, right? Or wrong decisions. Yeah, because you you are known for this business. You have generated a profit for this portfolio, and you should be able to anyhow take care of it and do changes. That's all right. So what happened to Nokia is like so they are in door, right? The market is growing, but not the analog phones, right? Digital phones is the future market. Yeah. So you can, of course, think about like changes, but still in the particular market. Yeah. Than doing diversification that much. Right. So that's about the portfolio strategy. Since there are limitations in terms of growing, right? Not thinking about future portfolio, not thinking about other growth strategies, right? So people have come up with uh, another strategy called growth strategies. This was introduced by a person called Ansel. This Ansel growth strategy, right? Or in other words, this is product market expansion grid. Yeah, product market expansion grid. Yeah. So, so guys, let me explain this. Have you heard about this product market expansion grid? This is like uh, you consider your products and also the markets, right? The limitation that we had in the previous model, it considers only your existing portfolio. But in this model, it will give us an opportunity to focus new products, future portfolio as well. The previous one did not talk about new markets, but this one talks about new market as well. Right. Okay. So if you are thinking about existing products and existing markets, how you are going to, because this is a growth strategy, right? Existing products, existing markets. What is the strategy that you are going to follow? It's called market penetration strategy. What is the strategy? Market penetration strategy. What do you mean by market penetration strategy? What do you mean by market penetration? So market penetration is like, how you are going to gain more market share from the same market. So growing in the same market is market penetration. Or how you penetrate to more households, or how you are going to increase number of users, or how are you going to increase the consumption. of your product, right? So those are the strategic actions in market penetration. So we'll say you are in toothpaste market in Sri Lanka, right? We'll say you are Colgate. You want to grow within the market inside Sri Lanka, right? So for you to increase your, or for you to grow in Sri Lanka into paste market, what you got to do is you will have to either increase your consumption, or you can think about expand into more number of households, meaning more users. You are acquiring more users to your brand. So those are the two ways that you can grow in Sri Lanka. There is no any other way. Either more users or more usage. These are the two ways, right? So for you to obtain more users, what strategic actions you could propose? What are the things that you are going to do for you to obtain more users? Here, the more specific, you want to obtain more users in the same market. So if you want to obtain more users, what you simply want to do is like, you have to increase the awareness of your product, your service, right? There could be, there may be, certain segments in the market don't know about your product. If they get to know about your product, there is a greater chance that they will use your product. That's one thing. Second thing, you could say, like, yes, people do know about the products. There is a greater awareness. However, they have not switched. They are using some other product, some other brand because of the price. Your price is higher than their price. Then you can think about ways and means to lower the price. Yeah, reduce the price by optimizing your cost. How can you reduce my cost? In turn, reduce the price. Yeah, so that's one action. But, this is the second. First one, you create awareness, go heavy on advertising, do TV campaigns, do billboard campaigns, go heavy in digital marketing. So do all those things and make sure that you have, reached to consumers' mind. Then make sure that your product is relatively cheaper than the competition, right? You can, do a lot of promotions, ad hoc promotions, right? Like, there are certain days where, like, you reduce slash prices, like, black on Black Friday of us, like, 11/11, right? So there are certain marketing days where, like, people, I think, like, expecting a lot of, price classes. As you can consider those kind of events, right? Occasions, right? Do some price promotions, right? So there are many market penetration strategies that you can introduce to your brand or your product to increase or to grow your business. That's one, right? Market penetration. Then we'll say you have the same product, existing products, new markets, right? Existing product, new market, meaning when you go to another market, you will grow the business. Existing product, new market, completely new market, then you will have new customer base, you are growing the business. You understand it, right? Right? Existing products, new market. It could be like, we'll say same brand, Colgate, going in to new markets where you are not present today. Going global, right? Enter into new distribution channels. Yeah, going to Middle Eastern countries, going to India, going to any other markets that you are not present with the same product offering, right? So this is the strategy about 10-15 years ago. All these fast food chains adopted. Take McDonald's, right? So they have, expanded their operations through franchise model to different markets in the world because their strategy was to grow the business, existing product portfolio. So the market development was their strategy, right?
On China.
Starbucks and take like Taco Bell, KFC, right? So all these fast food chains, so they have expanded. Not only them, even some of the uh, you know uh, the clothing brands, textiles, right? They have expanded to different markets. Supermarket chains, Carrefour, right? And take Walmart, right? IKEA, right? And there are many more supermarket chains they have expanded globally. Now most of these brands so they one of our first markets they wanted to enter is the UAE market, right? Because some easy entry strategies or probably the market is growing. So the UAE countries that's what they have done, right? So the market development with the same brand, same product portfolio, you have entered to different markets. And the third one is, okay, so you have existing portfolio, right? Existing portfolio, but you're not growing enough. Your existing portfolio, you are not growing enough. Then you have done everything possible in the same market, done a lot of promotions, price classes, and you have done a lot of advertising, but still growth is not coming through. Then you can think about product development. Yeah. After doing everything, still if you are not growing, something wrong with your portfolio, right? You have to think about adding new products. Take same toothpaste, right? You're in Sri Lanka, not growing. Then so you can do a product development by introducing a sensitive toothpaste. As we discussed yesterday, you have identified there is a great opportunity in Sri Lanka. Most of the consumers do have sensitive teeth, and that is an opportunity for you to introduce a new product. Yeah, introduce a new product. That's called product development. Yeah, most of the companies which are stuck in one particular market, they want to do or they want to adopt this strategy. This is the product development strategy. For that, What have they done? It's like, they have strengthened their research and development, R&D. You can't, just introduce new products. There has to be some sort of, experimentations, product development is a process. It's not that easy for you to introduce a new product. There are regulatory frameworks. Have to, assess everything possible and how you are going to source products. Yeah, just because that you have a new product idea, that idea will not come to light, without a specification, right? You need a product specification, right? Yeah. So these kind of things you need to look at, like, so based on your strategies. So if you have made the decisions, yes, we are going to introduce a new product, you will have to make sure all the other infra is in place. Then
The electric car models also something similar, right?
come again, please.
The
Yes,
electric car
yes,
models,
electric car.
EV.
Yeah. So it's similar strategy. Yeah, because you got stuck, not growing. Yeah, you come up with a different sort of idea, right? Different idea for you to grow your business, right? Right. So the fourth one is diversifications. Your business, like, you have thought about new product development, market development, right? All those things, but still your growth is not enough, not adequate for you, right? And you have to think about how you are going to completely diversify the business, right? New market, completely a new market, new product, right? You have been a toothpaste manufacturer, not moving the needle, no growth. All of a sudden, you are deciding, okay, let's think about spice market, right? Let's come up with a new idea, right? Spice market, new idea, which is not available in the spice market. Could be like all inclusive spice blend liquid, something like that, right? Um, or 5-in-1, right? Some sort of new product idea, or in other words, blue ocean. You create a blue ocean, right? We'll discuss the blue ocean strategy, meaning there is no person in that particular market currently. You are the market. You are creating that market, right? Whole new concept, right? New products. So diversification, like Richard Branson. So thinking about space travel, yeah, taking people to the space and giving that experience because nobody was there and was thinking about how to grow the business, thinking about new ideas, thinking about diversifications. Then there came this idea: why don't you take people to the space? Yeah, so you can take people to the space, um, you know, and grow the business. Yeah, yes. So this is what we call the growth strategy. Growth strategy. Any question? So you can, put any company in the world and see from the company's lens, like, what sort of strategy that they are having by taking some of the actions, some of the things that they have done. Yeah, some of the things that they have done. You can always, follow their actions, right? What Starbucks is doing, what Samsung is doing, right? And if you take, like, the smartphone, the competition, that we see like between Samsung and iPhone, right? They are keep on innovating things, right? So introducing new products to the existing market because they know if you don't introduce new products to the existing markets, their growth will be stagnant, right? And since the technology is changing very fast, getting advanced day by day, you have to always think about like as to how you are outsmarting the other person, right? So the new product, yeah, right. Yeah. So bit of a explanation. Penetration, making more sales to current customers without changing its products. You are not changing the product, right? But you are trying to, gain more from the current market. Yeah. By improving services, and also reprice, right? So you changing the price, right? So those are the things that you can do. Market development, opening new market for the existing products, market target, international market. So those are the market development. Product development, new product for current market. At a breakfast special, buy one, get one free, something like that. Diversification. Buy business of outsides of its current products and market. So, Starbucks coffee sells music CDs, something like that, right? It's a strange, right? Um, so, yeah, okay. Right. So that was about like, the growth strategies, right? Then what we get is like, what are the marketing mix strategies? Marketing mix strategies. There we have product strategy, price strategy, place strategy, and promotion strategy. These are we called 4 Ps. If you all can remember, we discussed in marketing, there are 4 Ps which we have to integrate properly. Yeah. So we are going to discuss this I think like next week I have already shared the slides. So at length, like we are going to discuss more about product, price, place, promotions, right? Right. Okay. Then we'll go to another strategy called a generic strategy, right? Generic strategy. Yeah. If you take if you just consider why we need strategies, why we need to grow the business, right? Without strategies, can't we grow the business, right? Yes, we can still do that if there are no competition. If there are no competition, you can definitely do that. However, you can remember the model that we discussed about the industry competitiveness. Porter's 5 forces, right? So Porter, from his 5 forces model, we were able to, identify the sort of, competitiveness that the industry is having. Yeah. So based on the competitiveness, Porter introduced another model called the Porter's generic strategy. Right? For us to, identify what sort of, strategies that you should adapt yourself based on the competitiveness. Right? Because in a competitive market, it's very difficult for you to, grow the business. There will be more competition coming when the market is growing because it's a free market. Yeah. Because when you have high competitions, like, so market is getting proliferation, right? More people are there into the market. Right? So in that case, you have to make a decision whether you are going to be the low cost product or low price, brand in the market, or you are a completely different brand, right? So what Porter suggested, either you be a cost leader or maybe the cheapest in the marketplace, or you are a differentiator. Don't, have something between these two, right? What he called like, if you get stuck between these two, stuck in the middle. He said like, don't get stuck in the middle. Either be a cost leader or the differentiator, right? Yeah. So as per his model, he said, uh, if you are considering about a broad market scope, meaning entire market, right? Toothpaste, whole Sri Lanka, the broad market, right? Then the strategy has to be, as per him, cost leadership, right? The strategy has to be the cost leadership. You are a broad market focus and low cost in terms of like, productions, and you have a relatively lower price set for consumers, right? That is called cost leadership. So there are brands like, having a very high cost leadership because, their scale is big. And they have gained economies of scale as a result, like, so they are being able to achieve the cost leadership, right? Reduce the prices, right? Or if you are focusing on narrow market, you are not thinking about entire Sri Lanka, or maybe you are thinking of a small segment in the market, the premium crowd, affluent people, right? Toothpaste, you are going to be focus cost leadership, right? So you are focusing that particular segment, and for them, you are giving your product at a lower cost. Yeah. So that's you are focusing a small niche. Or you can think about, okay, I'm not focusing the affluent. I have, they are taken a wrong segment. I'm taking the poor segment or poorest segment in the market. The affordability is very much low. No one is coming to play in that market, right? However, I am focusing cost, I'm reducing cost and giving them a value. That is my cost leadership, right? Focus cost leadership only for that particular market. Yeah. Then that's about cost leadership. The other one he said is like, you have to either differentiate, right? Differentiate strategy. There, when you are considering your broad market, you have to have a uniqueness, right? Uniqueness to your product. We'll say the toothpaste. The uniqueness that you have double calcium than anyone else, right? None of the players in the market has that differentiator, right? I have a new technology. You are, having a shield around the tooth, right? That sort of, technology, right? So you are having sort of, differentiator to the other players in the market. They are also focusing the broad market. Yeah. I'm trying to be the odd one out. I'm trying to be the differentiator, right? So that's what we call the uniqueness that you are bringing in, right? And the differentiation strategy, right? Then you are focusing on a niche market, affluent, the top player, right? So affordability is not a concern, not at all, right? Um, and you are giving them the best in class toothpaste at a very high price. Yeah. So cost is not a problem. The profitability is also very much high. But so your volume very much low because you have a very uh, segmented niche market that you have identified, right? So what Porter suggested, either you have to be a cost leader or a differentiator, cost leader or differentiator, right? So in depending on the market segment that you are selecting, either it's a narrow market or a broad market, you can think about whether you are going to be a focus leadership or a broad leadership, focus differentiation or a broad differentiation, right? So this is what we call the generic strategy. But before you are doing this generic strategy, you have to understand the market competitiveness, taking Porter's 5 forces into considerations. Understood? Yes? Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Right. So in your plan, the next one is, so once you have, decided on your strategic options, take in portfolio strategy, take in hands of growth strategy, or the generic strategies presented, you are now going to decide the specific plan, right? In your plan, you have to clearly spell out the segments, right, in your market, right? What are the segments that are in your markets? And from those segments, what markets that you are going to target? That is called target marketing, right? And from those target marketings, for those target markets, rather, how you are going to position your product. And then you are making marketing mix decisions. This part, basic principles of marketing, which I am not going to touch, right? But you have to, go through some of the articles, like from Kotler, Philip Kotler, or any other marketing books, like so you can identify what are the basically you can get explanations about these key concepts in marketing. Yeah. If you don't find any articles, like let me also share some of the lecture notes that I have, like then you can go through. Yeah. Right. Okay. So in your specific plan, you have to do a kind of actions which is related to volume forecast, right? Volume forecast, because at the end of the day, the finance director is looking for a better P&L, right? He has to prepare a P&L for the upcoming year or next 3 years, right? He will not be able to do that without knowing the turnover. So in your marketing plan, you have to mention the turnover that you are planning to generate from all your actions, all your strategic actions. Yeah. So how you are going to, do this sales forecasting, and what sort of, budgeting that you are going to, propose, what sort of budget, and how you are going to allocate resources. You have to make price decisions. There are so many other actions that you will have to do. Yeah. Because end of the day, what board room is going to decide. Is like, what sort of, P&L shape that you are going to look at for next few years. Yeah. So that's sort of, decisions they are going to make. Yeah. As marketeers, then in that case, we have to give them the volumes, we have to give them the budget requirements, we have to show them how you are allocating resources and also what sort of pricing decisions you are making. Yeah. All right. So how we are going to do the sales forecasting, right? Okay. So different types of forecast. The product development, right? So the R&D for the research, CMI, consumer insight team, right? So they are doing their forecasting for the product development, right? So marketing department doing their forecasting for marketing budgets and the demand generations. The personnel department is HR department doing their budgeting for human resource allocation. Corporate level, so they are doing their forecasting. It's more top-down forecasting based on the shareholder expectations, right? For you to, increase the shareholder value, what sort of, turnover, the growth that you should target, right? And the finance department is doing finance top-down forecasting, taking corporate level forecasting inputs into considerations. Finance department is doing the financial forecasting. Yeah. All these people are doing their forecasting by taking certain techniques into considerations. So there are few techniques that I am explaining to you all, right? But there are many techniques like today, forecasting can be even done using AI. Any AI models available for you, like, will help you to do forecasting. It's just matter of giving right inputs, right? Like, time series, causal method, right? Qualitative techniques, right? So these are some of the statistical forecasting techniques that we have. For all these techniques, what we need is like, the historical data. You need historical data for you to do these statistical forecasting, right? And some of the inputs that you have obtained from your situational analysis. Yeah. Your issues and your opportunities, right? When you size your issues, when you size your opportunities, you will get some sort of, forecast, volume forecast, right? So you have to, give the historical data and the inputs that you gathered from your analysis, you have to give, then you'll be able to, generate a forecast for the future, right? Yeah. In terms of, allocating budget for marketing activities, right? There are few methods that you can adapt. One is the top-down method, right? So this is like, mainly coming from the finance department and also the boardroom, right? So top-down. So they are saying like, so we need a growth of X percentage, and this is the amount that we can allocate, right, for this growth. Is a top-down method. Then based on that, you have to do all your planning. Yeah. Bottom up, like, you're not thinking about the budget, right? You're not getting yourself limited by the budget, right? It's from the bottom baseline and do all the activities and put all the volumes that you could be able to generate, and what would be the final number in terms of turnover. For you to get that turnover, there are a lot of activities that you have to do. For each of these activities, there are, there is a cost involved and there are resource allocations, right? So you have to, consider all those things and come up with like, final stacking up. What is the turnover and what's the cost and the resources, right? So that's what we call um, bottom up, right? And then goal down, plans up, planning. That means like, so you have the top down approach, the bottom up approach. Then you come to probably the middle path and agree certain note, because it can't like, get deviated drastically, top down and the bottom up. If there is a drastic deviations, then you will have to, come up with a goal down approach, where like, you go into specific like, areas in the organization that you want to achieve, and also consider some of the bottom up, numbers, and come to a middle path, right? So this is how, you allocate budget. Okay. So once like, planning is done, the entire plan, from the situational analysis to allocating budget, right? You have to go through all the processes, right? And finally, it could be like, Excel sheet, or it could be any other different form. You will have a full plan for a year or two, right? 3 years, you will have a full plan. So that is what we call your plan, right? Okay. So once the plan is ready, yes, as I told at the beginning, like, anyone can do a plan, right? It could be like, a basic plan or an advanced plan, whatever it is, like, anyone in an organization can do a plan. However, plan will not determine your success, right? Just a plan will not determine your success. It has to get implemented. It has to get implemented. So this is where most of the organizations go wrong. Most of the organizations go wrong because they don't know how to implement things. They don't know, or the organization is not ready to implement a plan. Yeah. And also, like, if you take most of the organizations, they just give a less attention to the implementations, execution of the plan. As Sharon, like, explained, like, in his short analysis, how you, reach to your consumers, how you continuously make sure that you're supplying, you are fulfilling the demand, right? So this is where the challenge is, right? So for the implementations, there is a model that we can use. This was introduced by McKinsey's, right? It's called McKinsey's 7S model, right? McKinsey has, explained or highlighted 7S's, which any of the organizations should focus, give attentions when it comes to, implementations, when it comes to execution of the strategies, right? So there are 3 hard elements and 4 soft elements, right? Hard elements is like, strategy, structure, and the system. Any organization, for them to execute things properly, there has to be a proper strategy, right? Without a proper strategy, everyone, people will implement things in different ways. They don't know the strategy, right? Yeah. If the strategy is not clear, right? If the strategy is understood wrongly, people, do different things. Yeah. So there has to be a proper, well explained clear strategy in place in the organization. Right? To support the strategy, there has to be a good structure. To support the execution of strategy, there has to be a very good structure. This is where most of the organizations go wrong. They, make blunders with their structure, right? And there are no right reporting lines, right? Just imagine new concepts like matrix structures, or maybe one person reporting to two people, so it can't be like that. There has to be proper structures. Structures should be linked with responsibilities, right? There are structures, no responsibilities. Can't be like that. There has to be proper responsibilities for proper structure, right? Then there has to be a system, right? There has to be a good enterprise resource system, right? If you don't have a very good system, how are you going to get things executed, done faster? Yeah? It's very, very difficult for you to get things done faster if you don't have. How are you going to monitor things? How are you going to integrate things? It's going to be very difficult. So therefore, you have to think about as to how you are going to uh, implement a good system to your organization. Okay. So those are the hard elements, right? Strategy, very much unambiguous, clear, concrete strategy. Structure, no ambiguity at all, right? Clear responsibilities, and has to be, hierarchical, right? A structure. And then good system, right? Integrated system for a faster implementations, right? So those are the hard elements. Soft elements, there are 4 soft elements in any organization as per McKinsey's. We have to, have these 4 soft elements intact in terms of getting things done perfectly, right? Shared value. In an organization, there has to be a value system. People should respect to each other, right? And there can't be any unethical practices. There can't be any room given to unethical practices, right? And people should be treated equally. Values like those, right? So there are certain values in an organization. It has to get inculcated to the system. It has to get injected to the system. Some of the organization in their website, they have, just spelled out the values. But in practice, that's not there. Nobody is giving a shit about those values, right? So can't be like that. You have to, infuse these values to the system. People should recognize values, and also people should value the value system, right? People should value the value system, right? Okay. Then the skills, right? What is the skill set? What is the set that you have in your organization? For you to implement a strategy, there has to be a right skill set. You need to identify what are the gaps that you have in your. If you have a big gap versus what is required, then you'll have to fill that. Yeah. So the training and development comes there in handy. Yeah. Not only that, how you are going to acquire new skills, right? Talent acquisitions, right? So the HR department has to play a major role in terms of identifying the right talent. Okay? So you have a big vision and big strategy in place, but not right skills, you can't, implement things. Yeah. Then the style. Style is all about leadership. How you are behaving as an organization. Each and every individual has to or supposed to behave in a specific way. Your style, right? You have to define as an organization what sort of style, leadership style is required. Is it a collaborative leadership style, or is it like more authoritative, right? Or kind of like dictatorship. Yeah. So depending on the skill sets, on the values that you have to determine the style um, that you think is suitable for the organization, right? It's not like the leadership styles which are available, like you get the best leadership. No, not like that, right? People might think like collaborative leadership style would be an ideal for any organization. No, not it is not like that. It's like based on your value system, the skills and staff, people, right? You have to decide what sort of leadership style you need in your organization. Yeah. Staff is all about like number of people, how you train them, right? What sort of KPIs that you are giving them to achieve, right? How do you monitor them, right? Are you overstaffed or understaffed? Like those are the things that you right. So you can read through, right, this 7S model, right? It's a very good model for you to introduce to your organization, um, for you to implement, right, your strategy. Right? If there is no such model, you also don't know whether you have like whether you are on the right path, right? Where you went wrong, we'll say, when you are doing the implementation, there could be certain areas that you had gone wrong, right? So there could be like uh, sort of you have derailed, right? Then you should know which area that you have derailed, or which area has caused this derailment. You should know. Is it your style? Is it your staff? Is it your system? Right? If not, fixing things going to be very difficult. And if you are taking time to fix things, is also not advisable, because things are moving very fast. Competitors are running at a fast rate. You are slow, right? So good model. Then when you are implementing things, strategies, again, you need to have certain controls in place, right? You can't, just implement if you are not getting results, because strategy and the execution will not ensure a perfect result. Yeah. Sometimes, yes, it will surprise you. It will give you more results than you expected. But it will not always give you the desired result, right? And you need to have control, right? Sometimes, like you are spending more money for as per the budget, but you are not generating the desired result. Yeah, your generation is lower than the budget spent. You are taking the budget control. Finance people will come and say, like, no, so you are not generating, my profitability is impacting, cut. Yeah. So that will happen. Then the profitability, again finance, right? Yes, your turnover is right. You are spending money, but your cost factors gone up. Profitability is getting impacted. You need control. Yeah, profitability control from finance, right? Then the productivity, efficiency. Yeah, you are not generating the productivity. Your input versus output, the ratio is coming down, right? Input output ratio is coming down. Your profitability is getting impacted, right? So the efficiency matters there. Okay. Then strategic control, meaning you are on a path, right? But your strategy is not, is bit shaky. It's not giving you the right results. You have to take some strategic controls, do some changes, right? So on and so forth, right? Right. I'm not going to talk about these things so these are self-explanatory. You can go through, right, how you do the efficiency control, strategic control. Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is how you do your plan. I think we have, covered already the most part that you need to, have bit of, understanding about strategic marketing. Because it's we are having only 8 sessions, right? In that 8 sessions, we can cover that so much, right? Not like we are not going into everything in strategic marketing, but the key concepts, key strategies that we are going to cover, right? Okay, so with that, we've come to the end of the today's session. So we will discuss about the price strategy, product strategy, promotions, and the place strategy. We are not going to discuss that much, but I will share with you all some of the articles and lecture materials you can go through. Yeah. So product and the price strategy we are going to discuss at length. Yeah. Right. Okay, guys. Thank you very much for joining. Have a great week.